Hey you guys, and welcome back to the Designer's Room where we go beyond the lash line. My name is Uniq and I am a lash design mentor, lash designer, as well as mother. Super excited to have you guys here today to talk about a plethora of different topics. And I think one that you guys have been waiting for a very long time. And I've been waiting to give you guys all of those gems and tips that you guys have been waiting for. So let's just do a debrief of kind of like where I'm at right now, as I feel it's important to enter in this space with clarity. So where I'm at right now as far as lashing is concerned is it's been such a long time being in this space and trying to find new and innovative ways to show up for not even just other lash artists, but also for myself too. Not saying that the spark has dwindled at all, but it's just keeping things exciting when things still feel kind of repetitious. And I have been allowing myself to explore different avenues, even outside of lashing. If you guys notice, I have some new plants here, and a good friend of mine had put me on to being a plant mom. And since then, I've got beautiful plants all within my home now. And they're literally like the first thing I check on in the morning. I mean, besides my daughter, of course. They're literally the first thing I check on when I come downstairs are my plants and making sure they're okay. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm still very creative in the space of lashing, but I think I've been craving like excitement that doesn't really have to do with lashing, if that makes sense. I'm phenomenal in this field, but it's nice to explore different things like, pouring into something and seeing it grow. So there's that, as well as working with my mentees right now, and they're doing a phenomenal job. It's really interesting because this time around I've taken on more mentees than I have ever, and I thought it was going to be overwhelming for me, but actually it's not. I feel like when you are doing something as intentional as pouring into an individual person, you do consider that every individual person is different, and some people need more assistance than others. And I'm extremely blessed to have the group of mentees that I have currently running from June to September of this year. So they're doing great. If you haven't checked it out already, if you go on my stories, sometimes I will be updating their progress and asking for you guys' opinion on certain styles as far as mapping techniques and things like that, just so they get feedback. And it's extremely important for me to have that information too. So I'm learning how to become a better mentor. I feel like being a business owner as well as a single mother, you constantly are putting pressure on yourself to get to the next greatest thing or next greatest chapter of your life, because you not only have yourself that you're relying on, but you also have another human being, a tiny human being that is also relying on you too. So just taking every minute, hour, and second for what it is and embracing it, because time is flying. Like I said, 7 years in this industry flew by so fast. So that's where I'm at. But we have something really exciting to talk about, which are wispy lashes. And I have a lot to say about this. So strap in. If you're doing a lash set right now, a full set, I'm wishing you the best of luck. If you're completing a fill, I'm wishing you the best of luck too. You have an earful to listen to while you're completing your sets. And I'm wishing you creative success in whatever it is that you're doing while you are listening to this podcast. I've always envisioned this podcast to be something that you can listen to while you're completing like a fill or something like that. I ain't talking for 2 hours, so maybe you got to skip to the next episode. So wispy lashes. The term wispy gets thrown around so aimlessly with no true definition, to it. So when clients enter an appointment and they ask for wispy, they're getting a toss-up of what that could mean for that particular artist. I want to talk about what wispiness means for me and constructing a set that is actually wispy. As I had talked about this briefly on Instagram at one point in time, wispiness does not come from spikes. Spikes are just an addition to a set. If you're just completing a regular standard set with no intention at your base and you're just adding spikes, that is not what makes it wispy. Wispiness requires more strategy from start to finish. That may look like multiple layering methods, multiple diameters, and multiple curls. As I've said in the past, my 3 top curls to combine would be B, C, and J. They have been a lifeline for me for years now, and it is a beautiful combination to create intentionally wispy sets. And this is outside of the spikes that you may add on to increase the personality of your set. The construct of these 3 curls, they are supposed to be placed intentionally in each layer, along with the diameters too. If I'm doing my top layer with a B curl, my middle layer with C curl, my lower layer with a J curl. B curl is the mid curl of the 3 curls, C being the curliest, and then J being the least curly. Naturally, you would think I'm going to put C, B, then J. But if you've taken a course, if you've taken a mentorship or anything under me, you know, one thing I say is difference equals dimension. We tend to do things with wispy sets the opposite way of what you would think. I always love to have my lower layer to be J because I think that whatever is happening in the top 2 layers falls beautifully on top of the J curl. If the client's lashes are straight, then this may look a little bit different. But that J curl kind of just sits there while you have a lot of things going on in the top and mid layer, right? So we have the B curl and then we have the C curl that kind of breaks up the curl between the J and the B to create that difference, if that makes sense. So if you think of it like an ice cream sandwich, where the lower is J, the mid is C, and the top is B, that C is doing an actual curlier curl than the B. So it kind of breaks up the subtle curl of the bottom and then also the mid curl of the top with that more curly curl in the middle section. So that's a golden combination for creating a beautiful wispy set. The biggest mistake that you can make when creating a wispy set is only using 1 curl. If you're only using 1 curl and 1 diameter, the likelihood of your set being wispy is very low versus if you are using multiple curls and multiple diameters. Another thing with wispy sets that I see is that when people even take the combination that I've said and they apply it to a client, the darkness of the lash line takes away from the set being wispy. And it's all about creating that balance with your fans. Your fans can be different. They don't always have to be the same density. So if you're using 5D fans, you could also use 10D fans and maybe even 3D fans as well. So you can create a set that looks intentional and you still have the fluttery, flirty look without it looking so overwhelming. My top 3 signs that a wispy set looks off is the spikes are significantly longer than the base. That is definitely number 1. 2, only 3 to 4 different lengths are being used in the set. If you don't have a solid 5 to 7 different lengths in a wispy set, you're not doing the wispy set correctly. Artist subjective, let me take that back. You're not doing it the way that I produce my wispy sets. And if you're listening to this, I am pretty sure that you're wanting to know how I do my wispy sets. And third, if you are using super curly lashes, I even categorize CC in this too. If you're using CC in the base of your wispy lash map, if you're using DD, wispy set, you can just throw it in the trash. That sounds so big, but if you're using DD, D, C plus, CC curl for the base or the bulk of your base of your lash set, then it's already not going in the right direction. With wispy sets, what makes a set wispy is the utilization of more natural curls. Because if you're intentionally putting multiple differences in a set, you want those differences to be subtle in their own ways individually. So if you have differences that are stark in their appearance, like that DD curl is like super curled back, and you're using multiple D, then DD, and then CC, you're not going to allow the mapping to be at the forefront of the design. If anything, the curl will be. which in a wispy set, the focus is not the curl, the focus is what is being done in the surface area level. So that is keeping your fans extremely wide. That's the divergent fanning that I touched on as well. Divergent fanning, I know some people will be like, oh, divergent fans are just wide fans. No, they're not. If you've taken a mentorship with me, and if you are a student of mine, or if you've taken any sort of resource from me, I would love for you to comment on this post and let people know that it's not just wide fans. That's the greatest misconception here, that divergent fanning is just wide fans and that they can just be used with any type of lash. I created my hybrid fanning lashes with my technique in mind. It wasn't the other way around. I didn't have the lashes first and then develop the technique. The technique was developed first and then the lashes were made to be integrated with the technique. So these hybrid fanning lashes have just enough adhesive at the base to where you can be able to create this extremely bloomed effect of the fan without it falling apart like standard lashes do. Also, the finish and the feel of the lash is a lot different too, and it plays a huge role in the wispy sets looking and feeling as plush and fluffy as they do. I recommend getting your hands on the right type of lashes and also having the right type of fanning technique, which I demonstrated in the video before this one. What is one thing that I wish artists knew about wispy sets, or more artists knew about wispy sets? That wispy doesn't have to be overwhelming. I feel when people do wispy sets, that's when they start to branch off into longer lengths, and you don't necessarily have to, or they end up doing just generic mappings. If you are exploring the field of lash design, it's important to note that your client is going to be at the forefront of any lash set that you do. No matter if it's a texture, illusion, Versa, Color Lux, whatever it is, your client is at the forefront of it. So your mapping has to be just as intentional as your technique. How do you create a wispy look for clients with downward or straight lashes? So, like I said, if I'm using BCJ, what I like to do, if the client does have lashes that do point straight down, then I would just increase the curl by 1. So if I'm going to use C, I'm going to go to CC. If I'm going to use B, I'm going to use C. If I'm going to use J, I'm going to use B. So where I put B, C, and J, right, in the set, instead it's going to be C, 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 B. This is going to compensate for the client's lashes being straight down, so you could still be able to get the same effect if you were using the BCJ combination. Another thing, your spikes, do not make them longer than 2 mm from the base. So if your longest length in that section is 14, do not use a spike that is 18. Do not use a spike that's 19. Do not use a spike that's more than 2 mm from that base. That is my golden rule as far as spiking is concerned. Also, do not make your spikes extremely thick neither. Making a spike thick doesn't make your set more wispy. It makes it look choppy and unintentional. The spikes in a set are only to enhance the wispiness. That's it. They're not to make the set wispy. So keep that in mind. So as far as the strands that I use in wispy sets, maybe no more than 4 strands per spike. So time for us to dive into the tour, which is coming up this fall. I'm pretty excited because we're adding on some locations that we've never been to before. And mind you, these are the locations that you guys voted on. So we took the top 6 cities and we decided to drop ourselves there this fall and the first week of December as well. So we can not only do our infamous workshop, but also service clients, as well as for the first time ever, Uniq by Poised Lux is going on tour. And if you haven't noticed, I have a new lash style on my eyes, and this is just it's a rough sample, but I feel pretty proud of it so far. I've polled on my Instagram story and you guys have loved it, as well as on TikTok. Y'all have loved it on TikTok too. But this is a new design that is coming for the next drop. And we're going to be traveling with the previous collection as well as the new collection on our tour as well. So for every stop, we're going to be doing a pop-up where you can come and drink some champagne and come and talk, and you'll be able to get my best recommendation as far as which lash would look the best for you and maybe some demonstrations there. Just have a really good time. We're going to Dallas, we're going to Houston, we're going to Chicago, we are going to New York, we're hitting Toronto as well as Sacramento. So those are our 6 stops. I would love to do a Europe tour, but I don't feel like my popularity is just really there yet. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just all in my head. But these, like I said, these locations were just based off of your votes. Let's go into the structure of the workshop. Last year we had 3 full days and there was only 1 tier. So for some people it was kind of inaccessible because of one, all the time that they had to take off, and 2, also the price. So this time around we actually have 3 different tiers. So we have one for 1 day and we have another for 2 days as well. And each tier has access to the Uniq by Poised Lux pop-up, as well as the more premium tier, being able to tap into the business discussion of things. I plan to record in each city as well and conduct live Q&As with everyone too. For the curriculum of things, day 1 is all about foundations. So it's the foundational elements that were included in all of the Poised Lux techniques, as well as some new ones that I have created in this past year as my design experience has improved. So different things like progression lines, as well as incorporating facial balancing into your mapping practice, and different bottom lash techniques, the hyper realistic bottom lash techniques. So new techniques that have not been taught anywhere else thus far are going to be included there. Then on day 2, you have the ability to apply a mapping with my guidance there, and a mapping of your choice, or we can do a freestyle mapping with me there. I recommend, if you're even looking into doing this tour, please take a look at more of my YouTube videos, like more of my podcast episodes or whatnot, so you can know the type of personality I am, because it's not going to change very much. It's not going to change at all, actually. This is how I am. I'm a very talkative person and very intentional, and I want to make sure that you are 100% aligned with, I guess, my style for you to get the most out of this experience. So there is that. We're going to be teaching some of our foundationals, as well as, my cat is chewing on my plant right now. Why are you, Misty? Hey. Okay. Anyway, we're going to be going over the foundationals that are part of the Poised Lux techniques, as well as new strategies and techniques that were developed within the last year of my lash design experience growing. I know what a lot of people have been waiting for is like, when can you do the lashes? When can you do appointments? I personally do not plan to take any appointments, but my lash designers who are traveling with me will be taking appointments. And the great thing about that is that I will be there too, to guide them, as well as to make sure that the mappings are consistent and provide you guys with mappings that you can take to your lash artists that are in your city. So you won't feel like, dang, I just got these lashes done and I have no clue what I got done. So there's 3 very exciting things to look forward to in each city, which I'm super stoked about. I tried to make this layout extremely beginner friendly. That is why there is a beginner add-on as well for you to be signed up to our beginner resources that can help nurture you in the time leading up to then, so you don't feel like you're completely lost. But I promise you that I have worked extremely hard to make this accessible and worth it for all experience levels. Our seats are definitely limited for each city. So if you are thinking about it, I highly recommend pray about it. Pray about it, think about it, marinate on it, and then make your decision sooner than later, because there's only so many seats available for each city. And I feel like it's going to be even better than last year. We have so many new things to look forward to this time around. Last year, we didn't have this podcast. Last year, we didn't have Uniq by Poised Lux strip lashes. We didn't have a lot of these different things. And this time around, my lash designers have even more experience this time around, over a year under my close expertise and guidance, 1. And 2, we have Uniq by Poised Lux as well. So if you are in a particular city and you would love to get your hands on the strip lashes or see the latest drops in person, you can do so. And 3, I've accumulated so much more wisdom and knowledge mentoring so many people over this last year that's gone by. My mentoring skills have grown so much. Last year was my first tour, so this is the second, and I'm especially more seasoned now. So you can expect a lot more improvement this time around, and I'm super, super excited. So as I told you guys, I have on a pair of the lashes that are going to be a part of the next drop, and I'm going to insert a video here. This has been one of the hardest styles to make in the form of strip lash, for the fact that its construction is completely out of this world. This is going to be considered your sultry sweep that's a part of Method to the Madness Volume 3. If you're a lash designer and you have yet to get your hands on Method to the Madness Volume 3, I highly suggest that you do. But this mapping calls for extremely short inner corners and then an outer corner that kind of goes past the outer edge of the eye. And to do this on a strip lash, extremely difficult to make the design look graceful, but at the same time intentional, right? Because the mapping was extremely intentional. So that's what I have on my eyes right now. And I plan to, and hopefully with every episode leading up to the drop, I can introduce a new style or kind of just where we're at with it. So this is the new one. If you guys can comment below, let me know if you guys like it, how you feel about it. You know what's so crazy is that the last 2 episodes, I've been recording during my fast. So I'm literally just running off of water and prayer for the last 24 hours now. But it's very invigorating. I just thought about that. It means so much to me when you guys let me know what you guys would like to hear next. As I've said before, I am taking each episode as it comes, and as my brain gets filled with things, I would love to hear what you guys would like to see in the weeks to come. And ask any questions that you may have below, and it just might end up on the next episode. I look forward to seeing you guys again on the Designer's Room. Until next time.